Hello, my friends, and welcome to What's Up. I'm John Petersen from the Arlington Institute, and every 2 weeks I get together with my friend Gregg Braden, and we talk about whatever's on our mind. Hello, Greg. How are you? Nice to
Hey,
see you again.
John, it's good to see you. I look forward to this every 2 weeks, and just a few weeks we'll be able to have this conversation from the front seat of your truck when you pick me up at the airport to take me to Berkeley Springs to transition talks. But for now, we'll do it over Zoom. So it's good to see you
Yeah,
today. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. August, you're going to be with us, and our viewers and friends can all find out all about that at transitiontalks.org, and we hope that they'll join us either live or by live stream. It'll be a wonderful time.
Yeah, it's going
So,
to be good. Good,
go
a
ahead.
good program. Well, I'm just going to say we're going to encapsulate the even conversations like we're having today. We're going to take it to a deeper level at that transitions talk. So,
We're going
yeah,
to be all day long. Yeah, we're going to have a lot of time to not only listen to you, but ask questions and such. And so it'll be a wonderful time. It always is. It's always great fun to have you with us. So, the question is, what's up? What have you been thinking about? I mean, I've been thinking about this AI thing. You and I just came off of a session with Quartet, thinking about the implications of AI, and this is a wild and crazy thing we're getting into here. It's seminal. I mean, it's just really a historic. I mean, it's clearly an understatement. We're into a space where, in deep, substantive, extraordinary terms, you cannot anticipate where this technology is going to be in 6 months. And that was the subject of an interview that I was watching with Gordon Petersen and an expert in the AI area, and they're saying that everything that's in our face is so amazing as it is, and you just can't even get your head wrapped around where it's going. But you probably got some ideas about that.
well, that's what I wanted to talk about, John. Where is it going? I'm speaking at a conference in Florida here in just a few days. I'm going to lead off the conference with a brief video clip from Ray Kurzweil, and his name comes up a lot. A lot of people don't know who he is. He's an innovator. He's an
I
author, but
know
he's
who he
also
is.
the lead engineer at Google,
And
who
he's
is
one of them. He's one of them. Yeah.
okay. Yeah, and he is part of the team that is driving this technology at lightning speed towards some goal that they have in mind. I'm not sure that they have shared that clearly, with us what it is. And my initial gut reaction, as our viewers know, and I'll just preface this by saying, in all honesty, I am probably a purist in the sense that I believe we are a highly advanced, technologically sophisticated, soft technology, the product of an intentional act with perfection within us to such a degree that it has not yet been recognized by scientists and engineers in the medical community, and that we have capabilities that have not yet been recognized. So when I see Ray Kurzweil in interviews like the one I'm going to describe, I have to wonder what it is that is driving he and people like him to the goals that they are describing. So the interview that I saw with him, very matter-of-factly, he was actually casually leaning back in a chair. He wasn't up and attentive. He was casually leaning back, very little inflection in his voice, casually stating that by the year 2035, we will not be existing as a species as we know ourselves today. We will be a hybrid of technology and biology working toward what is called a singularity, where we are integrated into a greater computerized system, a combination of robotics, artificial technology within our bodies, outside of our bodies, and that ultimately, he said, we will always need a body of some kind within which to experience, but it doesn't have to be this body. and that we will be able to choose the body, whether or not it is a robotic body or whether or not it is it's all moving towards synthetics, John. And the only thing that remains is the human brain right now. This is, they're essentially saying is the brain can be linked to all of these other synthetics. And ultimately, this isn't Ray Kurzweil, but ultimately the thinking in this movement is that consciousness itself in our experience may be reduced to ones and zeros and stored on the computer chip, making us immortal. And that computer chip then can be downloaded into any avatar in a virtual world or any life form in this world, and assuring our immortality. And this seems to be one of the themes that plays out in this is to avoid death. And so two questions come up for me. First of all, rather than pushing back and saying, you know, my gut reaction is that doesn't feel like the way to go, I said, what if I do just the opposite? Let's say we achieve all of those goals. What have we really achieved? Because we will have lost a species. And I'm wondering what it is in their thinking that could justify the cost, such a high cost of losing our humanness to AI, to robotics. And I'm just wondering, will you ever think about that, John? And what kind of things come up for you when you think about that?
It always begs the question of who's on the other end and who's pulling the strings and where is this and what's driving all of this, because I don't believe any of it is random and it's just kind of happening and it's just time has come. I'm enough of a conspiracist and theorist to believe that there is direction to a lot of this, and that a lot of the technology that we're seeing now has been around for a long time. We just haven't known about it, and because governments have kept it quiet. So, you know, I really don't know, man. It's and what that raises is the question about the fluidity and the open-endedness and the unique kind of world that we're living in now. I mean, there's never been a time like this where you had such just options, a whole spectrum of options going. Penny Kelly was just here this last weekend and at Transition Talks, and she laid out a scenario. Now, I've heard bits and pieces of it before because I've talked to her, but I've never seen it kind of in your face. And she says, well, what this all is an attempt from an extraterrestrial group to take over this planet. This has got all of the indications, and she lays them all down and says, look, see this, see what's all going on. And you know, we've all gotten ourselves wrapped up around Bitcoin and Ukraine and Biden and all this kind of stuff. And it's almost like they've got us all working our way into a little so that we don't see the big picture.
All these other things that you've mentioned are real, they're happening, they're important, and they affect our lives. The war in Ukraine, the conversation on climate change, banking crisis, financial crisis, social crisis, you know, but they're all on another level, they're all diversions. They're distractions that are keeping us from what I call the deepest battle of all. But ultimately, there is a battle for our very humanness. And the reason that that's so important, and I link this into another term that some people have a hard time with, it's called divinity, because that has been linked to religion. And divinity has nothing to do with religion. If you look at the definition, divinity simply means our ability, the definition, our ability to transcend perceived human limitations. That means be at our best. That means we are powerful beings. That means we've got strong immune systems. That means we've got intuition to solve problems. That means that we can think independently. And that is only possible through our biological mechanism, through our biological bodies. So the movement to replace the biology with synthetics is actually the movement to separate us from our divinity, from our ability to
Yeah.
think independently. And when we do that, we become vulnerable to other ideas of what our lives and the world should look like, other agendas, and there are multiple competing
Oh,
ideas,
yeah.
multiple competing agendas. And I'm not saying that Ray Kurzweil is even aware of these things. I think he is. This is in a vacuum. The AI, in some respects, is being developed in a vacuum. Let's see how far we can take it. What are the social consequences? That's not my job. Go ask somebody else.
What I would argue is that that Ray and his approach and this singularity kind of thing is truncates the evolution of humanity.
Oh, I
It,
agree. Yeah. I'm sorry. Go
yeah.
ahead.
No, no. Well, that's it. And so and so who, in a sense, who knows? Maybe that's the next argument. Penny might even make this kind of an argument that says that when she looks out and when she plays in her strange space with her strange friends, that that AI is an integral part of everything that they do. Well, it sounds in the way that she describes it like that somehow they found this uh, kind of parallel reality where they can coexist together, right? And that it is not dominated. It is not just AI running it. I'd really like to be able to make that decision rather than having other people make that decision for me. And that's kind of the issue and the problem that I have in this kind of transition, is because if you just climb on the bus, they'll take you to where they're going and where they want you to go. And I just as soon have some kind of idea where it is and be able to make that decision myself.
Well, I'm right there with you, John. And, to get on that bus, what they're doing is they're using tactics. They're using really sophisticated, very sexy marketing to young people who have never been instilled with the values of the sanctity of a human life, of the potential of what human consciousness is all about. They've been told that we are flawed from the beginning and that we're I mean, they've just really been taught to fear and hate human life, carbon-based life. So they're looking at this savior on the one hand. On the other hand, if we want to go there, I had a friend before she passed a few years ago who was one of the world's leading authorities on abduction phenomenon. Time and time again, when people were abducted, and they would ask the question, why me? That was in some form or another, that's that question. And almost universally, what they heard from different alien groups, different UFOs, different times from the 1950s all the way through the 1990s, was that we humans are at a point in our evolution now where these alien groups were a long time ago at a crossroad, and we're about to make a decision to choose the path of technology that they made, and they regret the decision, the way they made it, and they're interested. First of all, they want their biology back, number one. Number two, they're asking us to either reconsider or tread very carefully as we choose to integrate technology into our bodies. So I appreciate you and the Arlington Institute making it possible to do transitions and the in-person talks, and you making time every couple of weeks for you and I to have this conversation. It means a lot, John. Thank you.
Well, thank you. And thank you for those of you who are watching. You can find out more about the Arlington Institute at arlingtoninstitute.org. We got lots of interesting kind of programs. Most of it's free. So take a look and then come back and join us again in a couple of weeks for what's up. Thanks so much. Thanks,
Thank you.